Good evening. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we gather tonight to give you thanks for the many gifts you've bestowed upon us. We thank you for our families, for our friends, and most especially we pray and thank you tonight for our communities. Lord, as this commission gathers tonight again, we ask for your guidance and your wisdom. We ask that all of tonight's discussions, deliberations, and decisions would begin with your inspiration and be in accordance with your will and continue with your unfailing help. Lord, we make this prayer with faith and trust in your promises and ask that all glory and praise be to you as we pray in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. And please stand, face the flag, and join me in reciting the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'll call the October 20th, 2025 meeting of the Burleigh County Commission to order. First item is roll call of members.
Commissioner Bakken.
Here.
Commissioner Schwab.
Here.
Commissioner Woodcox. Commissioner Munson.
Here.
Chairman Bittner.
Here. Approval of the agenda. I think that about the only change I want to see there is we have an item number 15 that's a continued agenda item for ETA discussion, and it looks like we're going to be discussing the ETA up under 7. I think we can eliminate 15 or move it, just combine it.
Move to combine 15 and 7 and move to approve.
Second. Motion second. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Next, public comment. It's restricted to Burleigh County residents and landowners, and there may be a time limit. Does anybody have anything they wish to address that's not on the agenda? Because we'll give people a chance to comment during agenda items anyway. Anybody wish to comment? Public comment. One more time. Anybody wish to comment? I'm going to close the public comment period and the consent agenda. Commissioners, there's a number of things on there. You may want to pay attention to the Provident Building remodel change order in case you have any questions with that.
Three. B.
I
would like to pull B just to have a conversation.
Sure.
Do we? There was no comment or vote on the meeting minutes and bills. Item number 4.
Okay. How about the meeting minutes and bills? Commissioners,
I don't know who signed.
who reviewed the bills?
Turn.
I did.
Oh,
Okay.
We're broke.
No, we're not.
The bills are good. I looked at them, I didn't see anything wrong. And the minutes are good.
is that a motion to approve?
Yep.
Second.
Motion is second to approve. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, consent agenda. We'll consider a motion for A and C.
Move to approve?
Second.
Okay, a motion to approve A and C of the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. The Provident Building remodel change order in your packet has to do with electrical upgrades based on a plan change where we move the commission chambers to the second floor. Originally, we weren't going to do essentially any remodeling on the second floor, and this change order is directly relative to that particular change.
I appreciate that. This is just an odd question. What's the percentage for tariffs? Because it's listed in here as increase in material costs with tariffs.
I don't know.
Just, it's something that
it's
I'm
good.
dealing with on a daily basis,
Yeah.
and I was curious in this change order.
I don't know that anybody mentioned that, but
Okay.
we can find out.
Yeah, it's listed in the description, so I would love an explanation on that. I will move to approve the change order, but I'd love a follow-up on that point.
Sure.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the change order. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Next, City of Bismarck. Discussion of Bismarck's ETA proposal. Who's got that? Welcome, Daniel.
Good evening, Chair Bittner and Burleigh County Commissioners. Let me hand out a map to you. I also have it on the screen here.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, well, thank you for the offer of having a little bit of time on your agenda this evening. I'm Daniel Nairn, Planning Director with the City of Bismarck. I'm here with Commissioner Zanker on the City Commission, as also Jason Tomatic, City Administrator. We've had a number of very good meetings with county staff. Well, we thought it would be beneficial to also speak directly to you as the Burleigh County Commissioners. There is a map that the City Commission has really already signed off on, for the most part, to change the ETA boundaries that have been in effect since 2014. This map is before you. It is also online. I have a version of it here, if we can share the screen. In an interactive format. We understand that individual property owners may want to dig in a little more deeply, and it's hard to see in a small map. So you can online, you can go and scroll around, zoom in, however you'd like, and see where the proposal would affect each individual property. The change would reduce the land area of the extraterritorial area by 47%, but it would reduce the number of homes in ETA by 95%. Now, really the reason for this from the city's perspective is that the only purpose of the extraterritorial area is to facilitate future urban growth. We have a comprehensive plan that was already adopted in 2022 that really lays out where we expect that growth to occur. And there's really a number of areas in the ETA that our own plan does not anticipate urbanizing, even in the next 50 years. And so given that, and also given a lot of the concerns we hear from rural property owners, they would really prefer to be represented by their own county commissioners if they're just getting a shed or adding onto their home or doing something on their own properties. They would like to come to the Burleigh County Commission, work through the Burleigh County Planning Division, building inspections, so forth, rather than the city. And so given those considerations, we would agree to this change, which would reduce dramatically the number of people within the ETA, while also meeting the stated goals of our comprehensive plan, which would be to allow up to 50 years of growth potential within this area. So we did meet with the City Commission last week, and they've authorized us to move forward with this, and so we propose this to you as an alternative to modify the joint powers agreement that is between the Burleigh County Commission and the City of Commission, and change it to reduce the ETA to this new level. So I'm also here just to answer any questions from you. I don't really have a long talk to give, and Jason and Commissioner Zanker also are prepared to speak on any questions you may have.
What if somebody is into ETA and wants to leave it? Are you guys set up to, because you know it's going to be people that are going to come and say, well, we really would like to be out too. Do you have any recourse or any way that you can consider them?
So, Commissioner Schwab, Burleigh County Commissioner. So, it's not, when we're looking at the ETA, we're considering more so the land than the people. I mean, really, with any kind of zoning, we have to have a rational basis for any of the decisions we make. So if it's a 40-acre piece of land unbuilt on in an agricultural district right in the growth corridor where we're planning future city infrastructure, that's an area that we would really support keeping inside of the ETA. If it's an area that's already developed and has small lots that we really can't physically bring infrastructure to in a cost-effective manner, then that's areas we would propose removing from the ETA. So that's the basis of our decision-making, more so than reacting to individual requests.
Could I get a yes or no on that?
I'm not,
You
so,
didn't answer the question.
So the
Is
answer
there a
is,
way for somebody, say they're on the outskirts, to come to the city and say, hey, we'd like to be out? Can that be included, that,
so the answer would be, it would depend on the lot, I mean, the parcel. I mean, yes, we could consider.
I'm taking
any-
this as a
anything.
no.
All right, there, hang on a second. I
Daniel,
know
if-
that there's somebody, hang on, I know that there's a couple people in the room that have that exact question. Wayne, did you wanna add anything to that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Wayne Martinezson. I am a resident up on north of Bismarck, northeast, and I own property along 110th Street down to 97th, along the railroad track. And I'd like that piece of property removed from the ETA. Is that possible to do?
That's the question, gentlemen.
So we'd have to really study that particular piece of land. I haven't looked at it in detail right now.
Could you get his number and do that?
Absolutely.
So Daniel,
Buckland.
kind of the process would be is if the city chooses to revise its future use map, then that potentially could be an opportunity, correct? That's the only way right now that somebody could look at getting out of the ETA, is depending on what that long-term planning map looks like?
Okay, thank you. Yes, I'll reach out. Commissioner Bakken, correct. So this map is, I didn't mention this, but it will be going to the Bismarck Planning Commission on Wednesday for a review. It is part of our comprehensive plan, and so by state law, any zoning has to be done according to a comprehensive plan. So the first step would be to change that plan, and that would be started on this coming Wednesday. A public hearing will be held for that. And so then any agreement change could be based on that. So that would be the process to make those changes.
One other question then, on the map that you presented, the 138 North by 81st West, that line that bounces up and then goes, is that 48th? Or approximately 48th?
On the south side,
Yeah,
so 48th is the line that extends parallel to the city limits on the south, very southern portion to the west. That would be 48th, correct?
so I'm just kind of curious what the one little island that is along the river on the south side. Yeah, that. Yeah.
Sure. That's Whispering Bay. So that area's already been annexed. So the
Okay.
yellow areas have been annexed.
Okay, so
already.
that's with, okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Munson?
Daniel, at the city commission meeting, there was a couple maps. One of them took everything out that was outside the 2-mile area. Why is that still not being considered? The commission voted obviously for this map, but curious in your mind, what significance does that land have for your planning and zoning? And then my other question, I had posed this to Commissioner Zinker, your 25 to 50 year plan. You run the numbers, you're a statistician, you understand the growth and percentages, and are you telling me that you're gonna hit that area in 50 years?
Sure. So, Commissioner Munson, that is a great question, and we can go into a lot of detail on the assumptions that go into that plan, but it's based on everything basically staying the same. So we grow at 1,000 people per year in the city of Bismarck. We grow by roughly that proportion in land area. Our density hasn't changed, so we're growing in land area at the same proportion to our population. So if that all stays the same, and that can change a lot in 50 years, but if it does, this is the amount of land we will fill up as a city in 50 years. So that's the second part of your question. The first part of your question, the easy answer is this is just what the city commission directed me to do. But there is a contemplation for if the joint powers agreement can't be changed, and then there is an ability for the city to simply amend the map on their own. If they do so, anything beyond 2 miles would require a joint jurisdiction. It would have to go through both a county and a city process, which we've done in the past, and it's cumbersome for everyone involved. And so that was a hypothetical map if we were to not have an agreement.
Sure, sure.
So Daniel, one other discussion point too. There was a couple areas where people had some concerns about. Apple Creek Industrial Park was one. Had some ongoing discussions. I don't think this necessarily is part of the ETA discussion, but is something that we want to get addressed. And I was wondering if the city has a plan either to let those folks go ahead and get rural water, or now that the city's to Morrison, possibly pick that up. Jason?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Commissioner Bakken, to answer your question, I had a conversation with our city engineer about the Apple Creek Industrial Park, and yes, there are no city services there today. Most of the folks, I believe, are operating on well and septic. Things have changed in the recent past, things being, number one, the FEMA map for Burleigh County has changed substantially, and some of the area that was previously undevelopable within the industrial park is now outside the floodway and in the floodplain. So there can be a different look at some of those properties that were previously idle. Mr. Shell, our city engineer, shared with me that he has had conversations with some of the larger landowners in those areas. There are potential opportunities to look at that entire subdivision differently. Could rural water provide services? Potentially. Could the city? Potentially. It might depend on the request of those utilizing the water. Rural water typically does not have the capacity to support fire suppression, so then you're dealing with lower water flows, you won't have hydrants. If some of the uses that could be developed in that industrial park were to require higher volumes of water and higher water pressure, then we'd be looking at looping into the city system because we've got the force main and the water to supply that. Ultimately, what this would come down to is a simple conversation with the people that own the land today. That conversation has not happened because some of these changes are so new, but the city would not be opposed to entering into those discussions about what would it take to bring water and sewer to the site.
So that'll be a discussion as soon as this gets cleared up, and like I said, a subsequent conversation after the ETA, but ETA adjacent.
Correct. And if I may go so far as to say, one of the things the city is quite good at is facilitating these conversations. In other words, we may not have the answer, but we can invite those that are part of the discussion to come and figure it out. What is the best solution for all of you? Is it rural water? Fine. Rural water in many cases is city water. They'd be tying into our system. It would be for again, a smaller capacity use, but if someone is looking at a high water use, high volume, need for water pressure, then we'd be talking about city water. And if we're talking about city water, then we're also talking about a request for annexation and then all the other services that come with that. So again, the city doesn't force annexation on property owners. It becomes a request when those uses change or those desires are to develop the property differently.
Okay, one other question too, and it concerns county parcel, because of what we need to manage our own project. That's the Missouri Valley Complex, which we just had a study there, which really there's not as much developable land there as people think because of the water constraints with the floodway. That's something I'm not opposed to this good start, but we need to be able to manage that property ourselves for what we develop, because there really isn't an urban agricultural animal code right now. So, but that's basically what we need.
Sure, understood that, and we've talked about that as well. The current zoning for the Missouri Valley Complex is P-Public, so it's a pretty broad set of categories or set of uses that are allowed by right.
But we need to permit that ourselves and manage that development ourselves, because it's a hefty project.
And what we would request in exchange for that is dialogue, conversation, because if you're tying into city services, if you're pushing stormwater in other places, those could become urban responsibilities. We have a very similar working relationship with the state capitol. They do their own permitting and inspections, but at the same time, they're tying into water and sewer and stormwater. And we need to know what's going on, because in the end, if the city's the one providing the service, we have to have an awareness of what's available.
And we do have some shared infrastructure there, so it's, there's a lot of benefit for that property to stay within city limits. But the ability, not dissimilar from the state capitol, for us to be able to map that out and go forward with the permitting and the events that are gonna wind up being out there with the infrastructure that's out there, that's something that I have a lot of concern about.
Yep. And Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, I think, notwithstanding the determination of the map or those types of things, I think that's a conversation that city staff and your staff and yourselves be happy to have that and figure out some sort of a mutually beneficial agreement that works for the time and place that we're in today.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have one
Commissioner
more question.
Munson.
Jason might be the one to answer this question. So you mentioned FEMA, and the city has done a phenomenal job over the last 15 years, 10 years to work with FEMA and have a FEMA rating, which then affects the flood insurance for the residents that are in the floodplain. When this, and I say when this land reverts to county, how does it affect those insurance rates or those individual homeowners?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Commissioner Munson, I may have to defer to Mitch on that one because Mitch would become your floodplain administrator. We have a community rating system, which you were referencing. I believe each entity is responsible for their own enforcement and regulations of that FEMA code, so that would become the county's responsibility to maintain, I believe. Looks like Mitch is coming up.
But the insurance is affected by that rating, correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay.
I would think that they would revert to what ours is rather than the city's.
Which would increase their rates.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Munson, we are in the process of applying for the CRS application. That status is in hold right now. We have not heard back from the FEMA consultants, people that came for the CAB visit in August. There were some outstanding violations, and we'd have to review that first under this application. The consideration of that approval, from what I've heard from other people, that you don't come in at a low score. You usually start at an 8 or a 9. And I can't tell you when we're going to be able to get approval to be a CRS, but I would say that CRS, reduction in their floodplain insurance would not be applicable because we are not in the CRS program. I mean, we don't know when that will change. That could change before the end of the year.
Sure.
Well,
I
and
think so, but
Mitch, I've had this discussion with Daniel too. We're not talking about this process taking place overnight. This is probably going to be over the course of the winter before things get hammered out, and probably either late winter or early spring before we're in a position to actually ratify any changes, correct?
that would be my recommendation. There are so many things that we need to discuss. Future land use maps, changing of our ordinances, the changing of the planning commission so that it's more of a joint commission. One of the things I haven't heard anything about is this representation regulation without any representation. That's a whole problem that these people in the EHA have talked about. I haven't heard anything from the city of what their suggestions are going to be for that. That will be on us now. And so it's kind of,
Well, there's a component of that too that lies with the legislature that we need to address, and I know some of us are already working in that direction as well, so.
it's just in my mind that these problems need to be corrected or
Right.
remediated, or something needs to be, because they're just transferring problems from city to county now.
Right.
Okay, thanks, Mitch.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I would move that Burleigh County accept the proposed ETA map in our packet with the continued conversation with Missouri Valley Complex.
Yeah, Missouri Valley Complex and I would, at
The-
least on the record, the Apple Creek
The
Industrial
Apple Creek
Park.
Industrial
And-
Township.
And
Yep.
and
Wayne
Wayne
Martinez. Yep.
Martinez
Yeah.
property.
Yep.
So I think, if I heard right, this will be going to the City Planning and Zoning Commission for further review. Is that correct?
And then you we'll have an opportunity to speak at that as well.
Yes, there will be a public hearing this coming Wednesday on this item.
Okay, thanks, Danny.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. With those specifics, any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab,
Well, it's better than nothing, that's all I can say. Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you, and staff, and both on the city side and the county side, thank you for all your work on this, and as much work as you put in now, there's gonna be a lot more coming forward, and Commissioner Bittner with planning and zoning, I'm gonna guess you're gonna have a big piece of that, so thank you very much for everybody who's put their effort in for this.
I certainly appreciate that, because it has been a lift so far, and it's gonna continue, so.
Okay, next item would be County Engineer Hall, but he's out of town today, so I'm taking for granted that Dan's going to cover the county engineer information. Federal HSIP grant and state special road funds.
Good evening, Commissioners and
Welcome.
Chair Bittner. Every year, the Metropolitan Planning Organization accepts applications on behalf of the NDDOT for various different grant applications within the MPO. This particular grant is the Highway Safety Improvement Program. The roundabouts on Highway 10 and North Washington Street have been funded in part with this HSIP money. The County Highway Department would like to apply for construction funds under this HSIP grant for the construction of a roundabout or other intersection improvement at the intersection of 66th Street and Apple Creek Road. This project has been identified in multiple planning studies done by the Metropolitan Planning Organization and Burleigh County. In addition, the project has been included in the MPO's long-range transportation plan. The Highway Department is still working out details for the application, the cost estimate, but we are currently estimating the project around $4.5 million, of which 90% would be federally funded and 10% would be locally funded. The matching dollars would be approximately $450,000. There's a proposed resolution in your packet, and I would take any questions.
Okay, I have a question for you. Somebody in the audience had a question regarding whether stoplights or anything else was under consideration. I heard you say roundabout or other safety improvements.
Yeah, during the federal process, we have to kind of investigate all different avenues of an intersection safety improvement at that particular location. So all of those are currently on the table under that process.
I see. Commissioner Bakken?
So, wide, broad spectrum potential solution for this intersection, but the final decision's still gonna wind up coming back to us.
More or less, yes.
Okay, so we're not locked into one solution or another right now just by applying for the grant, so.
Yeah, we'll apply for the grant, and there's no guarantee that we're going to get the money either way, but
Okay.
this is the first step in the process is getting essentially support to go and apply for that grant. If we get funding for that grant,
Okay.
then we would start doing the traffic operations reports and things like that to determine what the best avenue would be for that particular intersection. And as we all know, that intersection has taken on a lot of traffic in the last few years, so.
Hey, any other questions that want addressed? Come on up. State your name for the record.
You know, I don't know who come up with the idea that putting a roundabout there is brilliant. I think whoever had that thought probably went to the Helen Keller School of Enlightenment. But if you put that roundabout there, and I live a quarter mile from there, when there's a train on 66 that nobody can move, once that train's gone, no one's going to be able to get through that roundabout until they get through flushing everybody from Lincoln all the way to the roundabout. Just like happens up north by 19th. I mean, people don't like roundabouts. They suck. So why would we spend $4.5 million, roughly, because everything's always more expensive than less. So I'm sure we could dream out, even more, when a simple traffic light would be good enough. And if they're worried about Lincoln traffic, well, then give the Lincoln side more time than the Apple Creek side. But for us to just sit on Apple Creek and never get into the roundabout's retarded.
I don't disagree with you, and my big problem with roundabouts is they take up too much space as well, because like the one at 71st and Washington functions as they're supposed to function. It's massive when you take a look at the land that's used. So I'm not a fan of them. That's why I asked if this is still open for discussion for us to make that final decision. I'm in favor of applying for the grant, not necessarily in favor of a roundabout, so,
Well, and they just permitted a house right on that corner.
yeah.
You know, and that's another problem with the city having ETA jurisdiction.
Correct.
Is obviously the county forgot to tell the city that they were gonna put a roundabout there. And you're probably gonna have to have a 5-sided roundabout because you're gonna need to let the guy get in his yard.
Yeah, so
I mean,
I have
you're
a lot
literally
of,
right on
I have a
it.
lot of concerns about it as well, including some future development and, you know, what that does to Lincoln and the folks that live along Apple Creek Road. I'm not a fan of it. I am in favor of going for the grant, but that's probably not the solution we'll wind up with.
Does Burleigh County own any portable traffic lights, like you see in construction sites?
Oh, Dan?
Do we? No,
You can rent them,
Okay.
you rent them.
but you can rent them.
It'd be nice to rent one and just put it there,
See what happens?
black out the 4 stop signs and see what happens. It'd probably be an improvement over what you're doing now.
That'd be a good traffic study.
Yeah, and that'd be a good way to
Test it out.
test it out. But I don't think a roundabout's gonna work good there. And there's a lot of semi-traffic there. And every time you take a semi into a roundabout, somebody's waiting to get run over. So I think it's a BS idea and should just be chucked in the circular file.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Appreciate that. Anybody else want to comment on that proposal? Okay, Dan, you mentioned that there was a resolution.
Yeah, there's a
Are you on?
I would
proposed
move to
resolution.
approve the resolution.
Second.
In the packet for the study.
Yeah, second.
For the, application.
Okay. So motion and a second. Okay. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Bakken?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab?
Yes.
Commissioner Munson?
Yes.
Chairman Bittner?
Yes, motion carries.
Okay, second item on the agenda is a similar sort of project where the state DOT solicits for different various projects every year, and this one in particular is the state's Special Road Funds Project grant. In the past, we've applied money for projects from the NDDOT through their Special Roads Fund program. The mill and overlay of 93rd Street Northeast from Highway 10 to McDowell Dam was constructed in part with the Special Roads Fund money. The County Highway Department would like to apply for construction funds under the Special Road Funds grant for the mill and overlay of Desert Road from State Highway 1804 to the Kimball Bottoms Boat Landing. Estimated cost for this project would be $800,000. This is an 80-20 split with a maximum of $500,000 through the state funding. The local match would be approximately $300,000. There's a proposed resolution in your packet, and I will stand for any questions.
Commissioners, any questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second to approve. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab?
Yes.
Commissioner Munson?
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken?
Yes.
Chairman Bittner?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. County Planning Director Flanagan, we got Beagler Final Subdivision, Rolling Hills Road Variance Request, Twin Buttes Non-Access Line, Complaint to Owner, and Resolution. Welcome, Mitch.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mr. Chair. In your packet, starting with item number 9 is the Beagler Final Subdivision plat. This is located at 32051 Northeast 5th Avenue in Sterling. Beginning in last year, the Beaglers had requested to purchase excess right-of-way from along County Highway 10 from Burleigh County, and that request was granted on October 21st of last year. ILS Survey began platting that 4-lot subdivision containing the 19.47 platted acres. The project size is a total of 22.76 acres with 3.29 acres dedicated to right-of-way. Sterling Township approved the zoning review of all the parcels, currently zoned ag, and they will remain as ag. And they also recommended approval of the plat. A paving waiver was approved on August of this year. The stormwater management plan waiver was approved this year. The planning commission recommended approval of 7-0 vote. So it's, based on the supporting documents and findings, it is recommended to approve that regular final plat subdivision.
Commissioner Bakken.
Mitch, just because of the adjacency to the right, or what was a right-of-way and purchasing that property, is there any limitations on access points on that parcel or that size of parcel, or is those things that'll still come forward later, or?
The access points are on the, I'd have to find them on the plat, but that was discussed at the planning commission, no, and that would not prohibit any of those.
No hindrance
access
to
points.
Highway 10 traffic?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. With that, I'd move to approve.
Second.
Motion second to approve. Any further discussion? I was just looking at one page here with this map. Oh, it's on the next one. Never mind. Call the roll.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab?
Yes.
Chairman Bittner?
Yes, motion carries.
Next is the variance for 8507 Rolling Hills Road. In September, Mark Rawl approached the Burleigh County Planning Department and wishing to build an accessory building for the property owner, Vern Coots. The petitioner is asking relief of 35 feet of the 50-foot setback on the southeast side of the property, leaving a 15-foot setback for the proposed building. The property is located in a corner. It's a corner lot which requires a total of 90 feet setbacks from the front and rear. The October meeting, it was recommended to approve the variance by a 7-0 vote. There is a lot exhibit 2 in the packet that shows the location.
Okay, that's what I had a question about, Mitch. In the upper right corner of the map, it shows a 40-foot non-access, and then a 40-foot non-access going down towards the southeast. Is that only in that area on that lot, or is that line, you see the dashed line I'm talking about?
Yep, it's the corner. It's common to have a 40-foot setbacks from the corners.
Okay, so that's the only non-access lines?
Correct.
It's just 40 feet, not
Yep,
down the property line?
correct.
Okay. What's the justification for that setback change?
Well, it's common on most jurisdictions will relieve the rear setback on a corner lot. You can have you'll have your 50 feet on one, 40 feet on one side and 40 feet on the other because of the frontage. Typically it's the rear setbacks are relieved to the side setback at 15 feet. And so it's that and the fact that he's given up 90 feet on these lots, and it restricts the location of it, and it also would push the building into a septic field.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Munson?
We reviewed a very similar project this spring, same thing, where they were on a corner lot, so they were being forced to have those two
Yep.
setbacks that were similar, and we approved that same project with the 15-foot.
Yep.
So I would move to approve.
Second.
Motion second to approve. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Bakken?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab?
Yes.
Commissioner Munson?
Yes.
Chairman Bittner?
Yes, motion carries.
Next up is a resolution 25-003 for Twin Buttes Block 3, Lot 21. The owner, Joel Kern, had requested to have that non-access line that was platted in the Twin Buttes subdivision as partially vacated to place an approach on his property along 102nd Avenue. The non-access lines are selectively drawn on a plat to limit access to high-speed, high-traffic volume roadways and in intersections to lower traffic accidents. County staff has reviewed the non-access line location and has made a recommendation to approve the resolution. Earlier this year, you may recall, we had the ability to adjust these lines administratively instead of replat. The other option was to take the plat and go through the platting process just to remove 30 feet of non-access line. So we now can do it by resolution. So
Since you worked with the county highway department on this.
They recommended approval on it.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second to approve. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Okay.
Next up is an appeal from the owners of Baldwin Greenhouse. A notice was sent concerning a complaint from a neighbor to the owner, Mr. Jared Stoll of Stoll Holdings LLP, 1725 201st Avenue, Northeast Baldwin. The complaint was based on an agricultural tour that was scheduled and conducted on the property. Ms. Podol has made the appeal. She is related to the owner. In the packet, you'll see a copy of the notice and order listing the violation. This was sent on the 9th of September, or 8th of September. I was gone out of state on the day of the, I think it was the 18th that they held there. It was a farm tour. And I got back and the neighbor had come into the office and this was after the fact, but at the time, there was advertisement for a pumpkin patch, or not a pumpkin patch, but to pick pumpkins out there on this site, so we asked her to come in for a special use permit to allow that. Our ordinance was approved at this commission on the 4th of August. It had the 30-day wait period for advertisement, so at that time, we had the ordinance in place. In the packet, you'll see 3 complaints registered to the police. There is also a copy of the Facebook advertisement for the garden tour. This is the Facebook advertisement. We don't know how many people were there, but the neighbor took some pictures of it. There's probably about 25 people that were there in the photo, but he did state that there was 40 cars parked in front of the greenhouse area. This was in with the soil districts, Burleigh County Soil District. It was a combination of their activity. So these require, as you recall, special use permits, any of these agricultural recreation activities. And so she wants to appeal that. And I don't think she's in the audience, so. No action is needed. I brought this because she requested the appeal. She sent the auditor a request of that appeal, so we'll put it on the agenda. So.
But she's not in the audience.
Did I?
Mary? It's Mary, right?
No, I don't see her. And I told her it'd be on the
It's kinda
agenda.
unusual it's unusual to request an appeal and then not appear.
Well, I mean, she had an event. It's considered an agricultural recreation activity, and she did not have a special use permit at the time. So it's kind of, I mean, there's not much we can do after the fact. We did ask her to come in and do it. If she's going to do any more, she needs to have a special use permit application and approved. So,
She's aware of that.
yes, yes. And she told me that she doesn't plan to have any U-Picks or anything like that. We're working on a PUD of the property right now with her.
Okay, Julie, is there any action we need to take here?
Generally, when there's an appeal, the person comes and pleads their case, and so there's no information on the other side. So you can either schedule it for another time or make a decision based on the information you have.
Okay, commissioners, I guess you heard the options. What would you like to do? I think that situation up there has resulted in a little bit too much law enforcement activity.
Absolutely.
I'm not real happy about that.
I'm a little pressed to make a decision with one half of the conversation if somebody does not show up, but, you know, at that point, do we just end this and let it continue the legal route because they're not here for the appeal? And were they fully notified? They knew that it was on the agenda and you had that conversation with them?
Yes, she wrote an email to the auditor to be placed on the, on this tonight's meeting.
Mark, did you have any follow-up conversations with her, letting her know that it was specifically on this agenda?
I would have to check my emails, but I believe so.
Okay, then I would say, I would make a motion to deny the appeal if they don't want to show up.
Second.
Okay, a motion, a second to deny the appeal. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes,
Thank you,
motion carries.
Commissioners.
Thank you, Mitch. It's the resolution.
Item E is a resolution under
E.
E?
Yeah. Mitch, what is the resolution on the end there?
I forgot that one, oh, sorry. That is on, that's behind you would have to sign, or, just the auditor would have to sign it. It's being presented to this board. The auditor would need to sign it after this meeting.
Okay, I don't have anything in my packet.
You didn't get a copy of the resolution?
Nope, not that I'm aware of.
I got them in my packet. It's right after the memo.
It relates to Twin Buttes?
Yes.
There's a resolution right after Twin Buttes. The item C.
Oh, it's out of order here, huh?
It's on page 027.
Yep.
Okay, that's
But it's in reference to
completely
the
out
Twin
of,
Buttes.
yeah,
Right.
okay.
Has the legal description.
Okay.
This would be recorded and attached to the plat.
Okay, we already took action on the
Yeah.
Yep.
thing, so I guess it's probably a moot point. Just sign it and go. Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you, Mitch. HR Director Binder, Buildings and Grounds Department, State's Attorney Stipend, Recruitment Policy, and Annual Leave Policy Revision. Welcome, Pam.
Should I wait or go?
Let's go.
Okay. Chairman Bittner, Commissioners. The first item I have is the Building and Grounds Department. And on August 18th, you gave me the approval to post both the Facilities Director position and the Facilities Manager position. And we did get some good candidates for that. We did have the committee interview. We came up with a plan. We do have a candidate for a Finance Director position. This candidate has 15 years in a similar position with a different political subdivision. So what we are looking at is to offer him the position. However, he is requesting a variance in annual leave because he has been with his political subdivision so long. He doesn't want to have to start over. And that's not something we've done. And in our policy, it says that we don't do it. However, we need to revise the policy, but I have not had the chance to do that. So I'm asking for an exception to do a variance for annual leave for this facilities director person. Go ahead.
Commissioner Buckman?
So will the policy change reflect what we're gonna make a variance for?
It will into
It'll align with
2026.
that?
It will align with the variance to those tiers.
Okay, so we're just kinda trying to catch up on where we need to be,
Yeah,
so to say.
I don't think he's going to wait for me to get a policy done in 2-3 months.
Okay.
So I'm asking for the exception that would go along how I'm going to write the policy.
So the policy will be in line with the exception that just
Yes.
a couple months later. So I would,
Okay,
yeah, I would move to approve that exception, as long as policy's gonna align with that.
Second.
Motion and a second. There is some further discussion. I had a discussion today with a department head that had that same request and was told that you couldn't do it. And that's causing it's causing a problem. What can we do about that?
This department had that same request, department head had that same request, and I was told the same thing. So we just moved on because we were told we couldn't do it. So if we want to go back, how far back do we want to go? I mean, I can come up with a recommendation, or if we,
Well, how about if we talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah.
okay.
I would think, if the policy's gonna remedy the situation, then I think we're in a position to exceptions going forward. If somebody wants to bring an exception forward, we should,
Consider it.
yeah,
Yeah.
treat that the same way.
Trying to be fair here.
Yeah, as long as we know that,
You know.
so I would say anybody that's been denied that in the past, if they wanna bring that forward, we'll have to listen to it if we're gonna go that way with policy.
Yeah, there's a good reason that I'm
Okay.
bringing it up, so.
How far back do we go?
We'll have to talk about that a little
Yep.
bit, I
Yeah.
think.
Okay.
Well, that's a subject for another day, I think. Call the roll.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries.
Okay, and the second thing on the buildings and grounds department is, we also came up with a very good, not quite a facilities manager position, although he did interview for that, more like a facilities or buildings and grounds supervisor. This person has HVAC, is skilled, and has supervisory experience. And we do not have one of our current technicians on staff that has the desire to be in that supervisor role. So we are proposing the facilities director and also the buildings and grounds supervisor position to supervise those techs.
Just for further information, during the interview process and whatnot, we had discussions about this particular candidate. His skill levels and his expertise are high enough that that he exceeds the we were going to hire a maintenance guy anyway. You know, we were interviewing for maintenance technicians anyway. And over time, we've had a little bit of a challenge with some staff that didn't really want to move up to the manager or the supervisory kind of level, and that's entirely up to them. That's not a problem. But this person came in and interviewed, and he seemed like a real good fit for that daily supervisor type of role that's still working in the department. And we thought it would be a good addition to the Burleigh County staff.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion is second to approve. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries.
Okay. The second item I have is a follow-up to the state's attorney back pay stipend. You had asked me, the commission had asked me to go back and do some research on what, in the past, which stipends or what is the percentage of stipend that we have given other employees that have fallen into that situation. So I went back, and in the 5 years that I have been here, we have had 8 employees that we have given a stipend to because they were doing the job above the job that they were doing, that basically the department head's job, or taking on extra work. And that came up to about 9.9%. So I rounded to 10%. And I put in 2024. And also I had to add, because we were including 2024, I had to add 2 names on because they came in 2024. And the last name is actually one of our, the second to the last name is actually one of our senior attorneys. So they've taken on quite the load, and it's actually a returning employee, state's attorney. And so I came up with a revised computation, basically, and also to come up with a policy of 10%. If we're going to do a stipend, we're going to do a 10% stipend based off of the grade.
Okay.
So are there any questions with that?
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve as long as this is going to be our policy moving forward. So
Yes,
there's
it
no
will.
questions. This
Second.
is how it's handled.
Motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Bakken?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab?
Yes.
Commissioner Munson?
Yes.
Chairman Bittner?
Yes, motion carries.
Okay. And then subject 3 and 4 are together. Those are basically the 2 policies that we're making exceptions to. And I'm just going forward with some of the things that we need to change, and that these will be the precedents that will not be exceptions. They'll be included in the policy going forward in 2026. The annual leave policy, there was House Bill 1170 that went through, and for state employees, they are offering a, what do they call it, new hire leave, 40 hours of new hire leave to their new employees for the first year. And that got approved, but we're waiting for their policy to see how they're going to administer it. And then we may make a recommendation to follow suit or do some variation to try and keep up with the recruiting edge of our new employees. So that is why the annual leave policy is there, and also the employment and recruitment policy. So there's nothing that's needed at this time. I just wanted to make you aware that those are coming up. And then the last thing I have is, I think I've talked to some of you on this. Our law enforcement officers, so our deputies and our detention officers, fall under a different rule under the Fair Labor Standards Act. It's called Section 207K, and it's the Garcia rule, because Garcia was versus the Texas transportation. And what that basically states is, per pay period, our law enforcement officers have to work 86 hours of regular time, and then they can get overtime. We were manually doing this in the old system, Infinite Visions, because the sheriff's department and the detention center were doing paper green cards, and they were manually calculating this extra 6 hours of regular leave. They call it straight overtime, which is kind of deceptive to begin with, because straight overtime is regular time. But when most people think straight overtime, they think time and a half. So the straight overtime is just regular time, but it's classified differently for those 6 hours because it has to be straight overtime for those 6 hours. So it's very confusing to our new employees. It's confusing to our programming in Paylocity for the universal timekeeping system. Sheriff Lieben and I have talked about this off and on for the 5 years I've been here, because to me, it seems unfair for our deputies to have to work an extra 6 hours when everybody else gets any overtime after 40 hours. I had Sheriff Lieben calculate what would be the cost, and he said the maximum cost for overtime would probably be an extra $20,000 in overtime, and it's within the budget. So it wouldn't be a cost on top of what we already have. The pros would be that it's easier to explain. It would be a recruiting perk. It would make it easier for our time card system, more fair to our deputies and our detention officers. One of the cons is that our supervisors are going to have to watch that to make sure that we don't have employees that are abusing that overtime. And they do watch it now, and they do know who those employees potentially are. So I am asking if we can put aside the Garcia rule, the Section 207K rule, and make our law enforcement officers the same as all the other employees in Burleigh County, the hourly employees.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve. It seems to make sense to me.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, I'd like to go back to item 9, D, on that complaint to owner. And I guess I'm gonna need some clarification from state's attorney lawyer. Auditor Splonskowski just brought up the email with that request for a hearing on this, and with Mary Podel. And she did ask that that be put into the first agenda in November. So I'm not quite sure why it's on this agenda, but given that she'd asked for this and probably had a conflict with being able to make this meeting, I would like to go back and get that on the November agenda, so
Okay, how about-
I'm not sure
How
what
about a
the.
motion to reconsider?
Yeah,
Commissioner?
so is, Julie, would that be the just motion to reconsider that item? Because we all voted for it, so.
Correct, and it would be, and since somebody else asked for it to be on that isn't here, then I would suggest that you put it on the date that they requested.
Okay, I
That
would
way-
make a motion to reconsider that motion and put it on that requested date of the first meeting in November.
Second.
A motion and a second. I agree with doing that.
It's fair, I mean, that's,
Well, yeah, it was apparently an administrative error, so we need to clear it up. Any additional discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken,
yes,
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries.
thank you.
County Finance Director, Interim Treasurer Jacobs, got some Treasurer's Office discussion. It's kind of a follow-up to some questions you had before, and he's got some suggestions and whatnot here. Go ahead, welcome, Lee.
Chair Bittner and Commissioners, indeed, it is a follow-up to a discussion from 2 weeks ago. The background here, as we all know, is that in July, we reorganized the Auditor Treasurer's Office. All financial duties were assigned to the Treasurer. The Auditor retained elections and the duties of the Secretary to the Board, and I was appointed Interim Treasurer. After a few months on the job, I've come to the conviction that the office needs to be reorganized, and that the most obvious reorganization would be to do something similar to how many other counties organize their county departments. So to that end, I've included organizational charts from 8 counties in the packet. These counties have a population of under 100,000 people, and you may see the accounting department come under different names in these organizational charts, but the most common is the finance department. And so in most of these counties, the finance department reports up to a county administrator or to the board of county commissioners. One exception is maybe Texas has some kind of strange things going on. They actually have an auditor that's appointed by a judge, but that position requires an accounting degree with 2 years of experience. So I've also included 3 sort of templates of a suggested, organizational structure for, I don't know what you want to call it, the Treasurer's Department, the Finance Department. I'll just refer to it as the Accounting Department in Burleigh County. I guess they're labeled options 1, 2, and 3. It's the same basic idea, except in number 2, the office is sort of split between accounts payable and receivable. So the treasurer function is on one side and the accounting functions on the other. I don't really like that because I think it would create some issues with sort of staff easily working together. The option that I prefer is option 3, which has a deputy, we call the deputy treasurer in this organizational chart, who operates as sort of the first line accounting manager. So I think this is consistent with many other counties where you have sort of a first line accounting manager, and then if it's small enough, it goes directly up to the finance director. In our case, we're going to be a little bit bigger, so you have room for that additional level of management, which we're calling the treasurer. And that may just be they're performing other duties, like the investments and so forth, along with day-to-day activities. But the basic structure is that what we want to create here is a frontline manager who can handle the day-to-day requests from staff and manage the calendar.
Okay. Commissioner Bachman.
Lee, I was kind of leaning into option number 3 myself. The question I had was, what does that do for staffing? Where does that leave us for what we need to bolster that plan?
Well, we're currently down 1 from where we had been a few months ago, and so we have actually 2 open positions right now, but one of them we're sunsetting. So we have a deputy position open and a treasurer position open. We're sunsetting the deputy, and then we will just have the treasurer open next year. Part of the request that I have here is to combine the offices of finance and treasurer, and if that's accepted, then you would have a deputy finance director, a treasurer, and then a finance director. So there would be those sort of 3 levels of management, I guess, if that's how you want to put it. So as far as how does it affect staffing, I think we do need to fill the treasurer position. So that would get us back to where we were a few months ago. But I think we can make it more efficient and more effective if we adopt one of these organizational structures.
Okay, and then my other question on that is from a checks and balances standpoint, as far as interoperational oversight, is that kind of how that's going to function a little bit?
Well, the checks and balances are done by internal accounting controls, policies, and procedures. One example that we've adopted is an investment checklist. And I actually went through every single one of them 2 weeks ago, and we have at least 2 signatures on every single investment we've made, meaning for the wire transfer, meaning that there was 2 people who physically wet ink signed off on the wire transfer, and then I approved each transfer. So those are the types of controls that you'd implement in order to.
So we have multiple sets of eyes on everything that we're doing.
You have people essentially doing, the incompatible job duties are separated, and so just as an example, you're not going to find everybody. We only have like 1 or 2 people who do accounts payable, right? So that sort of prevents somebody from being able to come in and make slip a fake vendor in there, right? Because there's just one person doing it, and then there's a separate person doing all the bank reconciliations. And there's separate people still signing off on all the checks. So the fact that they're segregated and there's people coming back and reviewing everything is what creates the I guess it's what prevents fraud and error.
Mr. Chair. Commissioner Munson.
Lee, I appreciate it, and as I reviewed this weekend, I like that option 3 as well. It answers 2 questions for me. One, you're not doing 2 jobs, which you are now, and I appreciate all your extra efforts. That the way this is looking, we are looking at hiring that treasurer, and I appreciate that. But as you've answered Commissioner Bakken's question, it also keeps that oversight. It keeps everything checks and balances. So I appreciate it. I would agree with option 3 as well.
I would make a motion to proceed with option 3.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to go with option 3. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries.
So
Lee?
the other request is that we are able to list the job of treasurer for candidates internal to Burleigh County first. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if there's, any internal policies that we have to list it, or that we do or do not list things internally, but my preference would be to try to seek out an internal candidate first before we go to the broader market.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. Motion and a second to approve consideration of an internal hire first.
Is that an HR conversation or is that a board consideration?
I would think it would be HR. Yeah, I would feel better with HR being involved with that.
Yes.
Okay, so what are we actually telling them to do then?
Work with HR to
Yeah.
be
I
able
guess,
to
do
facilitate
we have
that.
that policy that we can list it internally, I guess would be the first question.
Okay, that's under discussion here.
Pam?
Okay, Pam?
She thought
Sorry,
she was-
you thought you were safe.
She thought she was done. We just like hearing from you.
We don't have anything in writing, but our past practice has been to open those director level positions, internal, external.
Perfect.
As an elected official, you have the right to call it however you want to do it, but I would open it internal and external.
Okay.
So that's different than the motion we just made.
Yeah, so I would rescind my motion and do the internal and external.
I would
Opening.
rescind my second and second your new motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you, Chair Bittner and
Thank you.
Commissioners.
Okay, next we got Commissioner Schwab, Garrison Diversion Discussion, Summit Carbon Solutions Update.
But Auditor 2016?
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, blew
There
right
was a
on by
question
that.
on one date. I know we asked Auditor Sponskowski to check.
Oh, okay. Go for it.
Yes, Chairman and Commissioners, I reached out to the city and they checked their calendars, and on Tuesday, September 8th, this room here is available from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And then on the 9th, it's available from 10:30 to 3.
So not during normal meeting times.
No.
And the 10th was on your suggested list.
We put the 10th on the original list because that was the only date that the normal time was available.
Tuesday was normal time?
Tuesday is 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. and then Wednesday from 10:30 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Do we want to have a meeting at an abnormal time to adjust our schedule? Or to keep our closer to the normal schedule?
I'm amenable with any of the above. If you want to keep consistency, I guess, for time, 5 p.m. Otherwise, I guess I'm open.
Yeah, I'm flexible.
Yeah.
I think our citizens expect 5, so to have it on a different day, early in the day, would be
Undue burden.
undue
to
burden on
somebody
on the
who's-
residents if they want to be here at 5. So I would move to keep the meeting on the 10th at our normal time.
As presented on the
As
last
presented on-
calendar?
yep.
Second.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, now Commissioner Schwab. Garrison Diversion and Summit Carbon.
Pet projects. Anyway, tonight I'm going to ask for the commission to ask Julie to write a letter of intent to leave the Conservancy District. As you can see in the agenda packet, we're not getting much of a return on the money we're giving them. And I feel that in the next 10 years, if they get $9,600,000 and we get $500,000 back, it's a poor investment. That's number one. Number two, that kind of money should be going into the economy, not to what I feel is a scam outfit right now. The federal government's abandoned them. They don't do anything but shuffle papers, I think, and try to take credit behind a smoke screen. Anyway, Mark, you want to speak on that? Mark and Tom, I appreciate their time working on that. And Tom, if you want to have anything to add, you're welcome.
Yes, Chairman and Commissioners, Thomas and myself have been doing some research into this whole thing. And basically condensed down to bullet points, what we found was that we've given them, or levied approximately $9.6 million or $9.9 million since its inception, since the county actually requested to be added to the Conservancy Group in 1989. And then since then, we've given them over $9.9 million. Commissioner Schwab also requested for a 10-year projection. And what we did is we took a very conservative percentage of growth that was based on the last 10, 15 years. And that would probably come out to about 9.6 million. That's the conservative number. It'd probably end up higher than that. Also, some of the questions that we had going into this was how much money have we received because we are part of the Conservancy Group. And basically what it looks like is about $825,588 since 2022.
Sure.
Commissioner
Do you have any track record on asks over that period of time versus, because there's a difference between not asking for something and being denied for something?
Mm-hmm. We didn't look into how many things were asked for. We looked into how many things were approved.
Okay.
And most of those funds were approved for the city of Bismarck, Parks and Recreation. They received most of these funds. And so we had to look into any group that was within Burleigh County's borders that received funding.
Okay.
So the biggest question, though, was the South Central Water District received a little over $56 million through Garrison Diversion. And at first I was wondering, well, maybe that's because we were part of the district. So I did a little bit of further digging. One thing that we did find was the Southwest Water Pipeline project has received over $105 million through Garrison Diversion. And they're not part of the Conservancy District. None of the counties that the pipeline is going through is part of the Conservancy District. So I called them and asked them why they were getting those funds. The way it was explained to me is that the Garrison Diversion Conservancy Group is working as a pass-through. They have an agreement with the state that they work on those federal funds. So all the funding that the Southwest Water Project has received is federal funds that they received through Garrison because they were the ones running the grants. And South Central Water District, which mainly consists of Burleigh County, is the same thing. Those are federal funds received through the Conservancy Group.
Facilitated
However,
by the state.
Yes.
Okay.
And so our membership in the Conservancy Group is not, us receiving those funds was not predicated upon our membership. And so that took out the $56 million. That's why we ended up with the $800,000.
Wow. Okay.
So
Yeah.
actually all of this stuff can be done without them, and they're shuffling papers, right?
Well, based upon the information I've received, all of the funds that the South Central Water District had received, we could have received whether we're part of the district or not.
I suppose a person would have to go into it deeper if we send a letter to them and tell them we're tired of taking money from the taxpayers. But when they're running money through from one district to the other, I wonder what their administrative fees are.
Well, like you said, it doesn't seem to be a very good investment for the residents of Burleigh County. Are you making a motion, Commissioner Doge?
I am making yes, I am, by the way. And, you know, to really be honest with it, so the people know, if we quit collecting the taxes, the county itself doesn't benefit.
Right.
They get just a tax break. It's not a big one, but every little bit counts. It isn't, well, we're collecting it and then the county will get it. It's just going to come off your tax statements, and it is on your tax statements. You can look at what we're talking about. So I moved that we tell them we are ready to quit. And that we send them a letter.
Second for discussion.
We have a motion and a second for discussion. Go ahead.
Julie, do we have any legal entanglements you're foreseeing by dispensing that letter? What are some of your concerns?
So, no, just that the statute does allow for that. It's basically a petition that has to be filed. It says that there has to be a resolution from the Board of the County Commissioners that the county auditor and the chairman of the board file a petition for and on behalf of the county requesting that the district exclude such county from the Conservancy district. And then certain things have to be filed. The petition has to state specific reasons why the county will not be benefited from the establishment and development of the Garrison Diversion Unit. So
We have a track
those,
record of that now,
right,
right?
those specific reasons have to be included in there. And so as long as we have everything that's pursuant to statute, they should accept that. And then, of course, the decision is the Conservancy Board. So they
what's our
decide.
recourse after they decide that they don't want to let us out?
So kind of like when somebody doesn't like the decision that this board makes, there's an appeal process, the district
Okay.
court,
So we can probably count on going through the appeal process.
probably.
Okay, that's pretty likely.
Yeah.
I think one of the most important points that I've heard throughout this whole thing is that when this was created and started, there was a different mission.
Yes.
And there has been a significant mission change compared to what was originally agreed to.
Well, and this is beyond
And I
mission
think
creep. This is just mission.
change.
The original does not even exist anymore.
Right, I think they physically changed.
Yeah.
You know, just changed. And so I don't think we're benefiting.
Mr. Chair, if I can. The hardest part for me was when they were in front of us and presented this year, maybe. There's only 3 farmers that are actually drawing water off of this diversion in Burleigh County. So this whole canal that has went through our county or parts of our county, 3 farmers are benefiting from it in their irrigation systems. That's it. Now, on the flip side, I got a grant application going into them pretty soon.
Yeah, well, you get out of paying the 1 mil
Can you-
for 'em,
Right.
and you don't have to worry about funding.
Yeah.
Right.
Can you better allocate those funds with a better investment by going through the board? Probably.
I agree. But
Good.
Julie, what would the timeline in getting that drafted and back here for approval look like? I know your schedule's ridiculous, so.
It is, but I could probably have a draft by the next meeting.
Okay.
I just need to know, obviously, Mark is the auditor who's got all the financial numbers and things, and then who else wants to work on getting that
I
drafted?
have drafts already
Okay, well then I will work
that
with
have been
both
run through
Okay.
AI.
you and Mark on getting a draft for the commission.
Thank
But
you.
I have a
Thank you.
second motion to make here after this is
Yeah.
done.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Munson,
nope.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes,
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Okay,
my second motion is, I think we need to write them a letter and tell them we want that money back, and how do they want to do it? In a lump sum, or on a monthly or annual basis, because they have accomplished nothing for us.
Commissioner Buck.
I think the way to actually go through that would be maybe talk to the state auditor's office and, as it pertains to us, an auditing of those funds. And they probably have something on record. I would be a little, I don't think we'd get very far, but if you had the conversation with the state auditor's office, there might be a path that becomes a little bit more clear.
I wonder when.
Because right now, I just don't see that happening. I'm not in the business to make motions for the city.
You don't know
of
of it, you don't know it'll happen unless you try.
Well, but I think the conversation
yeah.
probably begin with the auditor's office, and then I would love to entertain.
I would like to see a forensic audit on them.
Well,
They have it coming.
I think before you would make a motion for that, I would think that maybe the discussion with the auditor's office and see what they have in their files might be prudent. I don't like being scattershot, and I think that would be
Yeah,
a
I
better
can go
way
with
to.
that.
Okay.
And I would
You know the
recommend
auditor
our
better
auditor
than I
work
do.
with
The state auditor's
the state
office?
auditors to do that.
We can work
Come to
with
my
that.
office, we'll call them.
All right, okay.
Okay.
Okay, do you want to add something about Summit?
Are they here?
Are you kidding me?
I'd ask.
Yeah, the reason that's on the agenda is, if you read the wording in this packet, they are kind of abandoning North Dakota as a dumping site, dump ground, whatever you want to call it. And I had made a statement here about, maybe almost 2 years ago to the audience that it isn't over yet, and I still don't think it's over yet, because there are lawsuits in North Dakota and stuff now, and when you go duck hunting, you have decoys, and that's what this is. It could be. I'm not saying it is, but it sounds to me like their original agreement with the Iowa was that it would run through North Dakota and sequester would be in North Dakota. And the only way they can get things changed now and stay in Iowa is that they have to have Iowa change the agreement. So it's kind of a complicated thing, but I don't trust them. And like I said, it's not over yet, and I want the people to know that, to stay vigilant, because another thing, this is really interesting on research on that. They are owned by, believe it or not, a company called Summit Agri Group. And I often wondered why that 45C hasn't been cut by the feds. And I found out they're big donors to Trump campaign and to Republicans. So I want that on, full disclosure there. But when you're a big donor, and this is the outfit they're out of Iowa, the owner is a personal friend of Donald Trump, big donor, and to a lot of the other Republicans, which could be our guys. So we want to keep that in mind. It isn't over until it's over.
It's a long way from over.
Yeah, it's a long way from over. Sure.
So question, Commissioner Bakken.
So in that regard, there's a couple counties that are battling that down in Iowa.
Yep.
So I'm wondering if there might be a route with an amicus brief to support what they're doing, because that's going to benefit us. Julie, do you have any thoughts on that?
Generally, that's done on like a state level if our state is gonna if our state is going to intervene in another state's lawsuit, it's usually on a state level that that's done.
But is there a way that we could support them in that regard, because that's gonna have benefit for us, so?
That I would have to do research on to see if
Okay.
a county can, a specific county within a state can
Okay.
take a stance like that in another state. Like I said, generally it's on a state level when there's an amicus
Okay.
brief done through the Attorney General's office, but I'll look.
If you could find out for us, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think there might be a way to support them, because that's gonna be helping us in the long run, depending on how that county litigation plays out.
This, by the way, there's one other detail with this agri group. We were led to believe that, at least I understood, that Summit just all of a sudden kind of popped up and was a separate company. They are a division of this agri group. They are an LLC. Now, I don't know how you can have an LLC with a division, but
They completely flipped over
They-
their business.
you know, they're for walk away, but they're actually the biggest landowner in Iowa. Just excuse me, the 10th biggest with 13,000 plus acres, and they have a lot of reach. They're in vaccines and this and that, but they claim they're conservative. So there we are.
It'll be interesting to see what happens.
It's really interesting. Yeah,
If we're able to support.
I like your idea.
Okay, so
Them
there's
get
no
that done.
action required, that was informational purposes, I appreciate that. Thank you.
See, I didn't have to wait till the end to ask if they were here.
Pardon me.
I didn't have to wait till the end to ask if they were here.
Yeah.
Kimball Bottoms funding option under Commissioner Munson.
Thank you, Chair, and no actions needed here. I'm asking for your guys' thoughts. You know, we approved last meeting the Kimball Bottom reclamation. I had a funding mechanism in the budget that was removed for 26. So I'm reaching out to you to give me some ideas of how you think we can fund this 2.5 million roughly dollar project. It'll be about a 27, 28 project. So please give me your thoughts, and so I can start working on that budget for 27.
Garrison diversion.
There's a grant for
They got the
50,000.
money.
Yeah,
They're supposed to be doing that. Right there it is.
yeah.
Still
There is an option there for
fails.
50.
That's my suggestion, because when they get this letter, they're probably going to try to do something to make themselves look relevant,
Right.
and then it's back to the old grind.
Right.
Is there an opportunity to do a phased approach with what you're looking at doing down there? Do pieces make sense rather than,
Certainly something I could ask
Or-
the engineers on that.
or is it more, I'm big when it comes to conservation of scale.
Right.
Does it make more sense to do it all at once because we're gonna have some cost savings there? Or can we phase in different components of this? I guess that would be a good question to ask, to see where the
You-
cost benefit is.
More Corps of Engineer as well.
Yeah.
How long are they gonna let us?
Well, but
Run
as
this
long as we're
project.
working on something.
Yeah.
And working towards the finished product, then I'm guessing they'd be probably amicable to that, but, for me, it'd come down to, does it make more sense to just get it done? Because there's cost savings there, or can we phase it in?
Yep.
And realize some cost savings
Sure.
that way by spreading out a little bit, so
I will
I guess
absolutely reach
those
that
are
out.
my questions.
Yeah. Yep, I will. Appreciate that. That's it?
Okay. Any other business for the good of Burleigh County?
Sure.
Commissioner Bachman.
I just want to say thank you to Commissioner Schwab, now known as Commissioner Doge, for your work on the Garrison diversion info, and Auditor Splonskowski for coming up with those numbers that
Don't forget Tom.
greatly helpful.
Yeah.
Tom, thank you very much for your office's work on that, because I think when you can lay those numbers out and we can let the public know what lack of benefit for that investment that we're getting, that really clarifies the conversation. So,
Burleigh County residents. are
yes,
getting,
so
right?
staff, thank you very much, and Commissioner
Thank you.
Munson, thank you.
Okay. Anything else? We are adjourned. Thank you, Commissioners.